President Barack Obama will deliver his State of the Union address in Washington tomorrow.
And in it, he'll announce a 3-year freeze on discretionary spending that would save $250 billion over a decade. Professor Geoffrey Garrett is the Chief Executive Officer of the US Studies Centre, and he joins us now from Sydney. Geoffrey Garrett, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, it's my pleasure.
I was rather tickled by a headline that I saw in the Christian Science Monitor this morning about the looming State of the Union address, and the question was, can Obama get his mojo back? And I guess that's what everyone is asking themselves this morning. Your view?
Yeah, the President is as well. Actually, the way it's being framed at the moment is this going to be like 1994 when Bill Clinton seriously tacked to the centre after some election defeats and never looked the same president again? Obama's asked that question of himself. He says, well, 2010 is different from 1994, and the big difference is me, Barack Obama. We'll see, I think, in the State of the Union whether that's true.
It's true, and I'm glad you bring up that comparison with Bill Clinton after his first year as well. He, of course, went on and had a reasonably successful presidency, but this one is looking damaged in a way that I know confounds many people, in particular because he does seem to have pulled the US back from the brink financially, and there's not a great deal of credit being handed out for that.
Yeah, it's quite amazing. I mean, I think Obama did two things in 2009 that he probably deserves some credit for that he's not getting. The first one is, if we were on the edge of a second depression, the US and the world avoided that. And the second one was he delivered on his popular campaign promise to reduce American troop involvement in Iraq and increase it in Afghanistan. But what average Americans are concerned about today is the fact that unemployment in the US is 10%. A quarter of Americans owe more on their homes than their homes are worth. And they think that Obama has been too soft on Wall Street and hasn't cared enough about them on Main Street. And that's where all the problems stem for the president today.
There's suggestions around that this won't be a typical State of the Union address, which is normally a laundry list of achievements and also future plans. Instead, this is going to be more of an appeal that we might see a rather feisty Barack Obama.
Yeah, Obama is looking feisty today. I think he was hoping to be able to use the speech as a celebration of passing health care reform. Now it doesn't look like that's going to have happened, so it'll be yet another appeal, but probably a pretty feisty one, to pass the Senate version of health care reform. And then he'll say, listen, I've heard what the country is telling me. I am going to clamp down on Wall Street, and I am going to do something about jobs on Main Street.
And there's not much he can do about that, though, when he has the economy in the state that it's in right now. And I guess that's part of why he's announced the freeze, to try and look responsible when it comes to the amount of debt that's been racked up. But it seems, at least from this distance, he's extremely limited in what he can promise and achieve.
Yeah, that's the big problem. I saw the new deficit number for the US in 2010 is supposed to be $1.4 trillion. Obama's supposed to rack up about $10 trillion in debt. How can he spend any more money? I think that's a very legitimate question. So you'd expect more symbolic efforts on Main Street than reality. But he does have actually a couple of $100 billion in his pocket from the bank bailout bill coming in under budget. I would expect most of that to go to jobs program. Also, Obama's going to increase taxes on bankers on Wall Street, on high-income Americans. He can use that money on jobs as well.
The State of the Union is also a very orchestrated event, and we see endless risings to the feet of and standing ovations of people in Congress. It's all coordinated and it's all marked out. But it's possible that there could be a very different mood amongst those people in that building, and he could even be met by a bit of hostility. Is that possible?
Well, I think the Republicans certainly will be sitting on their hands a lot. You wouldn't expect them to be rising much to the president. They haven't voted for anything Obama has done, and today you'd have to say that that strategy has worked for them. Last year in the State of the Union, I think somebody got up and called Obama a liar.
That's right.
Even in 2009 it was tough, but obviously we'd expect a much more frosty reception, certainly from Republicans today.
And read the situation for us electorally. What do you imagine is going to happen when we reach the midterm congressional elections?
Well, in midterm elections, the president's party always loses. So the game for Obama and the Democrats was always going to be just to minimise those losses. The big thing that will determine how big those losses are is the unemployment number. Can the unemployment number in the US get significantly down below this 10% level where it sits now? Unfortunately for Obama and the Democrats, all the consensus forecasts say that unemployment is going to remain stubbornly around 10% for all of 2010, and it's just hard to see how the Democrats can do well in that environment.
Professor Garrett, really good to talk to you. Thanks so much.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thanks a lot.